Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me here in the storage in London with the Shmeemobiles. But it's time for an adventure with the 675 LT. The car has been out of action for far too long, but since it returned back to the garage recently, I've had the urge to get it out on the roads, and that is now exactly what we're going to do. I've just recently returned myself from a trip where I was flying around, and the travel restrictions have recently become rather complicated, but that means we're embarking on an adventure that could be weeks, could be months, who really knows, and as a result, we have packed the car with so much stuff, I didn't believe you could fit all of this into an LT Spider. I will show you how we've managed to go about that. Now, it's reminiscent of my first ever journey with the McLaren 675 LT Spider when I took delivery of it about this week 4 years ago and took it straight over to the Nürburgring ahead of what was to be a massive journey down to Bosnia, Montenegro, Croatia. I don't entirely know where we're going to be going with this one other than the first stop across over the Eurotunnel through France, through Belgium, to Germany, to the Nürburgring. I've got a few things to sort out with the cars quickly that are going to be left here for who knows how long, and then it's going to be onto the road in the LT on its first Euro trip in far too long. For the time being then, when taking out the LT Spider, we will be leaving a fairly full house of the Shmeemobiles here in the storage at the moment. Now, you might be wondering about some of the other cars. The red Focus RS is still here. I've been driving it a bit recently around London, but it's staying over at my place as opposed to here in the storage. The Supra has gone for sale. The AMG GT R Roadster will be ready for collection upon my next return, waiting till a little bit later in the year. The other two that are missing, we're going to be seeing on this trip. The first stop being at the Nürburgring. That is currently where the SLS Black Series is based at Rentec, so that will be appearing for a few legs. And then we're also going to be going over to Jer Collector's garage, where I left my Senna ahead of something pretty epic that is going to be coming quite soon. Now, in addition to having the LT, the Senna and the SLS out in Germany, the M8 is also going to be coming back out to join us, I think in a couple of weeks as well. But something I want to talk about to do with this car, which has been a little bit unfortunate. Now, I talk a lot about paint protection film on the various Shmeemobiles, and lots of you asked me why I didn't do it on the M8. Well, I haven't normally done it on cars like the Focus RS Heritage. In fact, I've only really done it on cars that were priced along the lines of the AMG GT R or upwards. But this is proof in the pudding as to why you should use paint protection film. Look at the paintwork. This is perfectly clean. Every white dot is unfortunately a little stone chip, and there are far too many of them for only 4,500 miles on the car. Even in the lacquer here on the carbon fibre, yeah, little bit sore to see that. Not ideal at all, and I need to consider what's going to be happening next. We won't worry too much about that for right now, but it shows you that paint protection film for these kind of things is absolutely vital. Now, with the 675 LT, this car is quite clever in terms of luggage, because you have two things you can do. The first is that if I open up the bonnet quickly, obviously in here, you can fit two decent sized cases, plus some other bags and things wedged all around them. That works okay just there. But the other thing that you can do with the LT, if we open up the door, just inside here, you've got the button to open the tonneau cover, and in the tonneau cover, you can squeeze even more. So we've got lots of stuff in here, some bags with clothes, some things we need on the road, some drying towels as well for the inevitable car washes that are going to be required. So as well as putting things behind the seats and using the tonneau cover, we've basically managed to get a lot of stuff in here. Obviously, the disadvantage of that is you can't put the roof down or the rear window down, but I think that's almost life. I will get to enjoy the 675 LT on the trip, but obviously be able to take everything away for who knows how long due to these new restrictions, quarantines, self-isolations, and different countries with different rules. It's all over the place. The one thing that's a bit confusing is I do still have some more videos to come from the UK. Obviously, I'm not coming back to the UK for an extended period, so don't be too confused when you see videos that have been pre-recorded from previous trips out here. All very confusing, I know. For the time being, though, I guess we better hop on board and head out on the roads towards the Eurotunnel and get the journey started. The others, apart from the M8, are now undercovers, plugged into trickle chargers, basically set for hibernation. It's a bit of deja vu after doing this a couple of months ago. Who knows when I will return. For the moment, though, let's take out the LT, and that means starting it up. The twin-turbo V8 in here, always sounding fantastic. We've got about 12,500 miles, a couple of thousand ahead of me. There we go, good stuff. So I've actually got a checkpoint on the way out, something else I need to do, then we'll be on the way over to the Eurotunnel, and then onwards through France, through Belgium, and onwards to towards the event on the way to the Nürburgring. Stay tuned for what is coming. Well, it is actually now towards the end of the day. Basically, things have run on a little bit longer than intended. Let's get this car started again, because I've had some errands, had some filming, and we are now departing at 7 o'clock. As you can see, well, as I would say, as you can see on the screen here, I still technically need to remove this. I've never done it. We're now at 4 years of ownership, and for the first time ever, I am removing the screen protector from the iris system in my LT. That has had so many comments over the years, and it's now been done. So guys, you can relax a little bit. So we're getting started at 7 p.m. for 2 hours to the Eurotunnel, 9 p.m. Maybe we're going to train at about 10, arrives at 10:30, 11:30 German time, or French time obviously, which means arriving where we're going tonight at about 3 to 4 a.m. This is going to be a long drive ahead. However, we shall get started. We're going to have to stop for some fuel before too long. Everything is set up nice and comfortable, and basically we'll get on the road, and I think it was worth it. Got a few things done today, a few things sorted that just took longer than expected, to do with going away for a very long period of time. We are here at a beautiful location, as well as it happens. This is a very cool place. Just got to work out how to actually exit from this car park. But basically, oh, nice Aston Vantage right alongside. Basically, without really knowing what's next, my plans are all up in the air. I don't know what's going to be happening. I'm hoping today is going to be a late evening drive, meaning no traffic, and perhaps, hopefully, maybe no rain. It was raining earlier. The car is absolutely filthy. Oh, he says, big bump. Gotta watch out. This is a really low car, but look how dirty the front window is. That's yeah, that's just from a short little bit of driving today. So, out we go, on the roads. We're heading then to our first stop, the Eurotunnel, an hour and 40. Let's go. The good news is that it is not raining here at the Eurotunnel, and we're going to be able to take a crossing over towards France very quickly. The bad news is that it is going to be a really late night, and also the LT is now absolutely filthy. In fact, if we come round with the torch on, yeah, I'm going to be heading towards an event, and this is definitely going to need a wash when I make it over towards the other side. I tell you what though, under the night lights, this paint colour is looking fantastic. Always been one of my favourite times to actually see the colour that we chose for this car in the dark under street lights. I think it looks brilliant. It is parked at the moment, as you might notice, with the lift system up, because there are a few bumps around, and I just decided to keep it up rather than bothering to put it back down. I did realise, by the way, that this is now the 10th Eurotunnel crossing I've taken this year, the 9th different Shmeemobile that has been over or backwards, and I've taken 2 twice. That doesn't add up, and the reason that doesn't add up is because one time was with the G63 with the Senna in the trailer, and obviously the G came back without the Senna. The other time I did twice was with the Lusso, much earlier in the year. In fact, I guess the Lusso came over in February, went back in March. At the very beginning of the year, I took the Supra back over to the UK. It's been actually quite a busy year of Eurotunnel crossings. Anyway, we're going to head now to the train, board one as quickly as possible, get on the way over towards France, to Belgium, to Germany. It's always quite fun when you come down this ramp, although seeing it at night, and I don't normally cross at night, to be honest, more often it's night crossings on the way back home. Obviously these are the double-deck trains, the double-deck carriages. We're going to go into the single-deck, which means it is also wider, as well as being taller. Not that you need it to be taller in a car like this, of course, but the buses up front, they definitely do. It just means you don't run the risk of curbing the wheels. So I always recommend, if you're taking a car like this, a very low, very wide car, on the Eurotunnel train, always book as if it's 6 foot plus. They actually now, if you type in your number plate, they recognise that automatically. It knows if it's a very wide car, or at least it knew the GTR Pro was very wide. It didn't know the Ford GT was very wide. I guess because it's just Ford vehicle type other or something, so it doesn't quite come up in the same way. But we're going to be crossing. It's just over half an hour as usual, and then we'll get to France, about 40 minutes in France, and a couple of hours across Belgium. We're going to have to wait until the buses have boarded, a couple of hours across Belgium, and where we're staying tonight actually is in Aachen, which is just across the border into Germany, so one of the first places you get to, one of the first stops to at least be there, which is quite local to what we're going to be doing next. A place I've visited a few times before, so nice and easy on that front, and then onwards from there. There are some big plans. I'll tell you a little bit more about the plans we've got in store, but I don't know what's going to work and what isn't going to work, because of course we might get blocked somewhere from being allowed to do what we're doing, and obviously have to follow the rules. So
you guys will see what happens as it all evolves. In a second though, we'll go on. And in we go. I still wondered about checking for what the speed record in the Eurotunnel is. We're going to do a grand total of 10 miles an hour because these bumps aren't hugely friendly. And this is quite a rough car for a long drive. I had actually forgotten that it takes some endurance. It's noisy, it's loud, and it's quite bumpy, especially on the UK roads. We'll see how well it fares when we get over to the smoother tarmac on the other side. But yes, in we go. We've made it to the other side, so one more thing that I need to do in this car is to change this into kilometers per hour, if I can remember how to do this while we head on out. Units, okay, distance, kilometers, speed, kilometers, easy, right. So we are out onto French tarmac with a much shorter journey time, it has to be said, than I expected. The nav says 3¼ hours, which means arriving at 2:41 in the morning. Now I'm sure there will be at least one stop before we get there, but if that turns out to be the case, I will be quite happy about it. All driving at night, of course, and not much, but there will be a small leg of German Autobahn when we get towards Germany. So, onwards! And just here then, we are crossing the border from France into Belgium, which means the speed limit drops slightly. 130 is limit in France, 120 in Belgium, but it's a cruise now. It's been about the cruisiest of cruises across Belgium. To be honest, no bad weather, no traffic, and we've taken off a couple of minutes. We're about to arrive actually at the border over to Germany. We are 1 kilometre shy of the border, but we do actually come off the Autobahn about a kilometre after we join it to head towards our night stop, which is not going to mean today opening up the taps on this car at all, unfortunately. And the other thing that we can't do, which I often would with this, would be to press the button down here, which opens the rear window, but we can't do that because that would then lower the window down into the luggage space where we have all of our stuff. So we will not be making any fun noise out of the exhaust on the back of this car as we do this last slog. And you can imagine I am very much at the tired end. I think we literally have here the usual border. I've driven across this part of the road into Germany many times recently. I think it's just after the gantry, just after the bridge, we do actually cross onto what would be de-restricted Autobahn. So technically, I could actually, as of now, put my foot down because we're now in Germany on Autobahns. But that's all we're getting because 200 meters later we're coming off. That was not exactly the world's longest Autobahn stretch. Oh, one thing about this car though, you might have just picked up on there, is when you have the ruts in the lanes from the trucks, it actually does have a big tendency to drag and get pulled from side to side, obviously due to having aggressive camber, being a track focused car at the end of the day. But normal driving, it does a very nice job actually of going on a long road trip. I'd almost forgotten how comfortable it could be for such a drive. He says it is very dark here. You look outside, just dip the lights for a second and we're literally in the countryside, in pitch black, in the middle of the night. It is 2:20 AM. The only thing I'm going to say that's really negative about the car, well, two things. One, the noise, the road noise, because of the sound on the tarmac, and when you're driving through Belgium with its rougher tarmac, and the UK especially, going around the M25 earlier, it is really loud and quite intense. It's quite an exhausting driving experience. And then the other is the total lack of luggage space. But if you wanted more luggage space, you wouldn't have a Spider, you'd have a coupe, which would have basically a shelf behind us instead of the bulkhead up here. So you'd have a little bit more room to actually fit some luggage and things back there. It seems funny to sit at a red light for so long, literally in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night. But we've got about 15 minutes, 8 kilometers to go on this extended drive, and then we will be at our hotel tonight. And some of you might recognise the garage from previous visits. There are always fun surprises when you arrive in hotel car parks, and I think we're in for a treat. Actually, there's an AMG GT 4-door just there, but what we're heading straight towards is a BAC mono right in front of us. The guys from BAC are here as well, and in fact the last time I was here, we parked just to the left, which is now a building site, but it was when we had 4 of the cars here together, the Ring Wing Ting 2 years ago. There's also a 911 just over my shoulder. 2 years ago, with all the cars, That feels like a long time ago now. With this car, the GT3, the AMG GT R, and the Aston GT8, I'm going to pop this somewhere in here though, get it parked up and start the unloading process. I don't want to drive over anything, but the turning circle of this car is a bit of a nightmare. Keep listing things that aren't great about it. Everything about this car becomes apparent when you get to somewhere like the Nürburgring Nordschleife, where we are heading very shortly. For the moment though, I'm going to get this parked up. And as you can probably tell, I'm absolutely shattered. Get it unloaded.
After getting out of the car and taking out some of the luggage, I am starting to realise quite how tired I am at the moment. This has been a very long day, an incredibly long drive, and now an exceptionally late arrival here in Germany as well. And I think it's time for a well-deserved rest. In fact, the last time we even got out of the McLaren was actually at the lounge in the UK side of the Eurotunnel, before boarding the train, going under the Channel Tunnel, driving through France, through Belgium, and now into Germany as well. I've been very pleased though with getting the LT back on the road, stretching the legs, enjoying the drive, but this is just the start of some fun to come. And also impressed that we did manage to fit in a decent amount of luggage into a not so practical car. Obviously enough stuff to last for a while, with the unknown plans that are ahead in many ways with the travel restrictions, and there are still a few more things tucked into the bonnet and the rear tonneau storage area at the moment, like some shoes, cleaning cloths, radios, that kind of stuff, which I will sort out in just a moment. I've also been very pleased with the fuel economy of the LT. Today has been a very gentle drive, and in fact at the moment the trip since the last fill up, which was back in the UK, combined with the range now to empty, is about 630 kilometers, which is just shy of 400 miles. Considering it's got a tank that's only about 70 to 75 litres and it's a 675 horsepower supercar, that's not bad going, it has to be said. It's not that bad when you're on a gentle long distance run, and obviously the car has now done about 13,000 miles, but I think it needs a few more to come. So a quick overview from what I can remember of what's coming up. I'm going to be taking the LT to an event I can't wait for, taking it to the Nürburgring where the SLS is awaiting, which I will take further onwards towards Stuttgart to go to the home of Mercedes-Benz and Mercedes-AMG. Then I'm going to continue with the LT down, in theory, towards Italy and the south of France, but we'll have to wait and see what travel restrictions do on that front before I then go to Jer Collectors to collect the Senna, which I'm going to be taking on an adventure into the Alps as well, joined by the SLS, I hope, and also joined by the M8 as well, if we can make all of this work. Then I think it's going to be into the SLS to go down to Italy, all coming over the next month or two. Some pretty big craziness going on around Europe. For now though, I need to get inside, I need to have a rest, I am absolutely knackered, but thank you very much for watching guys, I appreciate your support as always, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers!